Welcome to today's show. We are talking to Jag Gillan of Millstream Atta today. Jag Gillan is president of Millstream Atta. Millstream Atta has been proudly Canadian owned and operated for over 60 years. It was founded in 1959. Just recently in 2019, they have introduced Atta. The Diabetes Canada Association has given its stamp of approval on their multigrain flour. Millstream has a wide variety of gluten-free products made in a separate gluten-free facility. They are connected with their communities by association with Diabetes Canada and Breakfast Club of Canada. That's quite an accomplishment. Please welcome Jag. We'll talk to him now. So Jag, tell me about your company, Millstream Atta.
First of all, Sonia, thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure. It's one of the first interviews I think I'm going to be giving in English, which is my native tongue.
Right.
And it's a blessing. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Yes.
So tell me about this company. You've got some exciting products. I want to hear all about it.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. So we've been in business over 60 years.
Okay.
I'm the third generation that's taking this company to the next. And we've been in the flour, cereal, breakfast product production business for decades now.
Right.
Okay. We were based out of Victoria originally. A lot of the people from our community, the South Asian community, started out in Victoria.
Okay.
And the business started out there. People often ask me, they go, why Victoria? Why did our people first come to Victoria? Right?
Right.
So the reason they first came to Victoria was that when people immigrated here from India, there was no planes at the time.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So they came on ships.
Right.
And those ships would transit them through Japan. And the first port of call in Canada was Victoria.
Makes sense.
So they got off in Victoria.
Right.
And now Victoria is, you know, our community there is 5th, 6th, even 7th generation now.
Yeah.
And our business has its roots there. And it's still a very strong following there.
Okay.
But subsequent to several decades of operating there, it made sense for us to be closer to a major center in Vancouver.
Right.
So we located our plant in Delta, and we've been there ever since.
So you have, how many facilities do you have then now?
So we have 2 facilities.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a wheat production facility.
Right.
We call it the gluten facility.
Okay.
That's the product where, or the company, or the factory where our company produces all of our gluten products.
Okay.
And then we have a second facility, which is our gluten-free facility, and
Okay.
that's where we produce all our gluten-free products.
Right. So the gluten-free, it's a pretty big deal these days, especially with everybody doing low carb and really worried about their health, that kind of thing. So you're providing 2 options.
Correct, correct. The gluten-free was something that was actually my idea about maybe a little bit less than a decade ago.
Okay.
We were finding that a lot of people were approaching us, a lot of our customers, a lot of new customers, that were saying that we need an alternative.
Right.
You know, our children are not able to partake in the meals with us during dinner time or any meal, or when we're preparing the lunches, because they have this gluten allergy.
Right. There's celiac disease and that kind of thing.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And it's something that I know that a lot of people in our community, the South Asian community, were not familiar with.
Right.
It's a allergy that they felt their children could overcome, but it's one of those allergies that they actually become progressively worse over time,
Right.
when you're not able to digest or process gluten products.
Right.
And gluten essentially is the protein in wheat.
Okay.
And wheat, you can just imagine our food without
Roti.
roti, right?
Yeah.
You know, we're
Yeah.
not going to get very far.
That's right.
So we created an alternative for that, a
Okay.
product that they could make roti out of different types of attas that didn't have wheat in them.
Right.
But they have all these other items that are nutritious, that can be prepared with the ease of a wheat flour, and so the children can enjoy
Yes.
those meals
Right.
with their parents.
So when you make the roti from this atta, can you tell a big difference or no?
You can.
You
It
can
is
see
different.
Okay.
It is different. Some people say it's more closer to the corn flour because we have a makida atta also.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, which is also gluten-free. But it's a little bit easier to work with because we have other ingredients in this multi-grain. It's also a multi-grain gluten-free atta, so it has multiple grains in it.
Right.
And so it is, we've tried to make it easier to work with.
Right.
I must confess it's not as easy as a wheat flour is,
Right.
but it is easier than a corn flour
Okay.
to work with, to apply, to make rotis out of.
So this gluten-free atta is actually multigrain.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's multiple grains in it
Right.
that constitute it, that make it up. This atta, we have found, has become so popular now,
Okay.
where you can make your regular wheat flour chapatis or rotis for half the family,
Okay.
but the other family can also partake in the regular meal, but
Right.
with a gluten-free roti.
That's a great idea.
Yes. So I find that with us in my family, I have 3 children.
Yeah.
2 are away to off to university right now. But when we were all had a big home, a full home, often the dinner time was a time when we really sat down and connected.
Right.
Otherwise, everyone was off, doing their
They're doing their
sports
own
or their
thing.
or their work or chores or whatever. So the dinner time is a very important time when we can really connect.
Right.
And you can look at your children, and children can look at their parents in the eye
Yes.
and talk about things.
Yeah.
And when the child has an allergy and they can't sit at the same table,
Right.
we live in an extended family too.
Right.
Grandparents are there too, right?
Yeah.
So important, they're part of the equation too.
Right.
So to be able to all sit around the table and have roti together is important.
Right. For sure.
And I think that's how I personally feel that I'm at the table.
Yes.
I've been able to bring that family together
Yeah.
and overcome that allergy that child had.
Right. So you mentioned that extended family and that kind of thing. So you've got, the smallest kids in the house and you've got the oldest family members. So that brings me to the point of, I know that you have an affiliation with the Diabetes Association of Canada.
Yes.
So can you speak to that a bit so our viewers know what wonderful work you're doing with them?
Sure, thank you. Just as you have the issue of gluten allergies on one side of the spectrum with
Right.
our kids,
Yeah.
on the other side of the spectrum, you have this diabetes issue
Yeah.
among a lot of our seniors.
Right.
It starts there. It spreads to the other generations, the younger generations, but it starts there. The issue is that our community,
Yeah.
either through diet or genes, is probably the most, if not the second most, community affected by diabetes.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
yes. And a lot of it actually, people blame or they say the culprit is we eat too much sweets,
Right.
too many matanga, right?
Matanga, yeah.
Right? Or we put too much sugar in our
cha.
tea, in our cha,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So, I think they contribute, but I think the other contributing factor is that the atte we also eat
Yeah.
are not the most conducive to someone that has this challenge.
Right.
We have attes that are too refined,
Yep.
too overprocessed, and our bodies are not able to digest them or take them in a way that we can live a healthier lifestyle.
Right.
Back in India, we had a lot of our people were part of agrarian society, or even if they weren't farmers, you did a lot of walking. You did a
Right.
lot of just climbing a flight of steps in India was a challenge. You get a
Yeah.
workout, right? Here, because we live in a society that's very much driven by convenience.
Convenience, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're looking anywhere from elevators to get us avoiding taking steps, to robo vacuums that vacuum our homes, right?
right.
The element of exercise has been eliminated unless you take a concerted effort of going to a gym, right? So on one hand, we work out less,
Right.
our bodies move less, and then on the other hand, we're eating foods that are more and more
Richer.
refined
Mhm.
and rich.
Refined, yes, that's right.
Yeah. So we created this flour that we put things in it, elements in it, that are very helpful for someone that has diabetes or is trying to avoid diabetes.
Right.
It's a preventative type of solution that we suggested.
I think it's great because if you do have, like, if you're having wheat, I mean, people can still have wheat, obviously,
Correct.
if they're, athletic and they're working out, that kind of thing. But if they've got the alternative to do the low carb, gluten-free Atta,
Yes.
then they won't have that insulin spike.
Correct.
Which is the reason that they're gaining the weight or whatever.
Exactly.
So not just the allergy, but for people like myself who want to go a little bit low carb and cut back a bit.
Correct.
know?
Absolutely. So what happens is that the items that we put in that flour actually make your body have to work
Okay.
to digest it.
Right.
And then when it works to digest it, the sugar that's in the kernels, in the grain,
Right.
in the flour, is absorbed more slowly.
Right.
That spike doesn't occur in the body.
Right. It keeps you even.
It
That's
keeps
right.
you even.
Okay.
Yes. Like I would say the most, if I can give an example, if I can make a point by hyperbole,
Yes.
cola is probably the most dangerous thing to
Right.
drink.
And everybody loves Coca-Cola.
Everyone loves
Or
Coca-Cola.
Pepsi, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a liquid form.
Yeah.
There's high in sugar content.
Yeah.
And once your body digests it, that sugar gets absorbed
Goes
into
really high.
yes,
And
correct.
crash.
Correct.
Yeah.
It gets absorbed into your bloodstream very quickly, right?
Okay.
So if you have a flour or another type of product, or if you need to take sugar in, you want to take the sugar in a form that's of a solid
Right.
as opposed to a liquid.
Right.
And that body takes more time, more energy, it just takes more effort for you to absorb that sugar into your bloodstream.
Right.
And so this atta that we've created, because wheat has sugar,
Yep.
these products, these grains have sugars in them, right?
Right.
So if they are in a proper formulation with grains that, for example, have their skin in the flour also,
Right.
look at the husk of the grain,
Right.
okay? That fiber, the roughness of it makes your body have to work to absorb
Right.
that sugar. And therefore then, for people that have diabetes,
Yeah.
this is much more of a lifestyle cure, a preventative type of medicine to keep those sugar levels under control.
Right. As well as having that inclusive dinner at the family table.
Yeah, which goes back to that,
Right.
the original point that we made about trying to have a meal or trying to make something, a product that brings people together,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and not separates them. In
Right.
fact, there's foods out there
Yeah.
that actually separate families.
Yes,
they don't bring them
absolutely.
together.
Well,
right?
and I'm thinking about how you're saying that the roti that they have on there, like it's the mother can sit down. If she's low carbing and she's sitting at the table, she doesn't have to eat just the sabji. She can actually have the roti this time.
Correct.
And not feel like left out or feel like everybody's looking at her and going, "Oh, she can't have it." It's more normal.
It is more normal.
Everyone can just share
Correct,
together.
correct.
So back to the diabetes thing.
Yes.
So there's something you got a stamp of approval from them.
Correct. So what happened was after having developed this flour,
Yeah.
the Diabetes Association of Canada, which is a national organization,
Okay.
I believe was actually originally created in honor of Sir Banting, the doctor who actually invented insulin,
Okay.
who was a Canadian. Okay, and so this organization, their primary mandate is to educate people on diabetes and how to live a healthier lifestyle.
Okay.
I believe we first came into contact with them when they were running seminars through a lot of the gurdwaras, trying to educate our folks on the dangers of diabetes and how to have a proper diet.
Right.
And it was through those circles that we met with them. They saw what we were doing. They liked the flour, and now they've given us the right to put their logo on our flour bags.
So it's literally on your bags.
It's on our bag.
Oh, that's amazing.
So,
That's a great endorsement to have.
It is.
Because it makes it, not that companies aren't reputable, but when you have an actual endorsement,
Yes.
then you know that this is, a legitimate.
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yes. So it's a great honor with their support and with the partnership with them that we're trying to get this message out to people in our community that the best type of help is self-help.
Yes.
Right.
And education. I mean, the fact that you're trying to get that word out there. It would be amazing if the Gurdwara started having 2 types of rotiyan.
Yes.
But, like, it would be really good just to be really mindful of what we're actually taking in.
Yes.
Because it's nice to go to the Gurdwara.
Yes.
Yeah, and have that lunch there because it's always the best there for some reason.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But to have the second option.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
that's a great idea. I never thought that.
I wonder if you could make prashad out of this. Out of
You
any
can
pot.
actually.
Can you?
Actually, believe it or not, actually we make it at home,
Okay.
and we also make a sonde,
Oh,
which is the
ginger.
the ginger kind of the cereal, the granola. We make that out of our,
Okay.
and you make those pinya.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then from the sonde you make the pinya.
Okay.
And the pinya with this multigrain atta are actually very good.
Really?
Very good. Yeah.
You should almost have, like, on your website or somewhere, you should start like a page of recipes. Do you have that?
We do. We do have a page of recipes. I'll tell you a little bit of our company. It's kind
Yeah.
of going through very much a metamorphosis too.
Okay.
You know, I think that the one thing I always share with my kids and my people at work is that the most important thing in life is to embrace change.
Yes.
It's the only constant is change.
It's true.
Okay? So I talk about our recipes. We have a lot of recipes that are geared towards the mainstream European community.
Right.
Because that is actually our origins. When we first started out our business, there was no South Asians, there was
Right.
no Indians, Pakistanis, Sri Lankans here.
Right.
So a lot of our products were geared towards to European Canadians, like pancake mixes and granolas and cereals.
Okay.
So a lot of our recipes are focused on those items.
Right.
But now we've been growing into increasing the repertoire of recipes available to our customers that are South Asian in nature.
Very good.
So you've given me, I think we're heading in the right direction when you
Yeah.
talk about that.
That'd be amazing. Just because as a mother, you know, I want my children to eat really good food, but I don't want to necessarily give them a ton of wheat. Because I
Yes.
want them to balance that out a bit. So maybe using your multigrain gluten-free
Yes.
and trying some of the Indian recipes, if you can, you know, upload some of those, that'd be great. I
Sure.
would love to try those.
We will do that.
Yeah, the
We will do
pinya
that.
especially, because a lot of times, like, for example, I'll share a story of mine.
Okay.
When I was pregnant with my second child, I'd gained it quite a bit from the first one.
Okay.
So for the second one, I'd gone back to Kamloops, is where I'm from.
Yes.
And I'd said to my mom, I said, you know, I'm pregnant, I'm going to come stay with you for a while. And she said, okay, great. And I waited. I thought, she's going to make me my pinya. Because usually mothers will make pinya for
Yeah,
their daughters
yeah,
when they're
yeah,
expecting.
yeah.
No pinya.
Yeah.
So I said, Mom, where are my pinya?
Okay.
And she said, oh, no, I can't make pinya for you. I'm like, why? She's like, "Tera parable." But I'm like, oh, no. So I couldn't have pinya. She said, no. But now with this option,
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, not that I'm going to have any more children, but I could have pinya.
Yeah, you
It'd
could
be
always
good.
have pinya. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so tell me about the Breakfast Club. I had talked about in my intro about
Yeah.
something affiliated.
Yeah.
You're affiliated with Breakfast Club.
Yes, yes.
Please talk about that.
The Breakfast Club is actually a wonderful organization.
Okay.
It kind of also takes me back to my youth too. If you
The
recall the
movie?
movie, The Breakfast
Breakfast
Club?
Club,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
That was talk about a coming of age. That movie or that show. So
Yeah.
the Breakfast Club is kind of took that name but have a totally different mandate. Their mandate is to feed not teenage. Well, actually to teenagers. Actually, it is.
Okay.
What's happened is that there's an issue in Canada, believe it or not,
Right.
where 1 in 5 kids go to school without having had breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay, these are a lot of neighborhoods where either the neighborhood's impoverished,
Right.
or they have parents that are always working
Yeah.
that can't ready their children in the mornings.
Right.
I'm finding that our citizens, our people, Canadians are having more and more challenges making ends meet nowadays.
Yep.
I mean, even prior to this pandemic, people were challenged.
Right.
Then there's a lot of single mothers out there that also are trying to raise children on a single income.
Yeah.
And also a single focus, or income's one thing, but time is another.
Right.
And being able to give the time to your children
Yep.
is becoming more and more limited.
Right.
So there's a lot of children in this country.
Right.
1 in 5 is a statistic that came from Breakfast Club of Canada,
Okay.
that go to school not having had breakfast.
That's Such a shame.
It's such a shame.
Yeah.
Yes. Now I can imagine, in our home, we grew up, my parents were there, my grandparents were there.
Right.
I never left home hungry.
Right.
But I can just imagine if I had left home hungry, what type of education would I be able to obtain?
You can't focus.
You
The
can't
child
focus.
Right.
Yes. So this organization, I heard about them
Okay.
on the radio, and it just really touched me that they're worried about our youth.
Right.
And the youth that are our future.
Yes.
I often say to anyone that will listen that if we really want to live past our expiration dates,
Right.
then just make an impact on the next generation,
Yep.
and you will live. You'll have immortality then.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And they really touched me that these kids are going to school in Canada, a first world country,
Yeah.
and they're hungry.
You wouldn't expect that.
You wouldn't expect it, no. So we contacted them,
Okay.
and we said to them that we wanted to contribute. How can we contribute?
Awesome.
So,
That's great.
so we've contributed to them in many ways. One is through funding. Another one is through our materials. And I think the most important is through time. We've asked our staff on a paid basis. We don't want any of them during work hours to feel that we're asking them to do something on behalf of the company without them being compensated.
Right.
They have gone on the company's time to various schools
Right.
and have actually prepared the food for the kids.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And some of the stories we get from our staff when they come back, they go, we were in tears.
Yeah.
And we were also very happy that we were making a difference.
Right.
We have a number of staff that are from outside of Canada that weren't born here.
Okay.
And they thought, we thought that this would be happening in our home country,
Right.
our country of origin, our mother country.
Right.
We couldn't have imagined that it's happening here.
Yes.
And so they've been really touched. And so this is how we contribute to the Breakfast Club of Canada.
That's amazing. I love that you do that, because that means your business is more than just these products. It's heart. Like, you're really involved with the community and helping out, children and stuff. So tell me about the future of your company as far as products. What kind of innovative products are coming up down the pipeline, if you can share?
So I think that the focus of our company right now is that we have a half a dozen really good, what I called fully baked products.
Okay.
What I mean by that is that products that have received a lot of response.
Okay.
Products that have touched people's stomachs and their hearts.
Right.
Okay. And now it's a matter of us spreading those products to a greater geographical area.
Okay.
Okay. So our products are available in most Canadian provinces.
Okay.
But there's still some provinces out there that we haven't touched yet,
Right.
that we like to touch.
So that's coming up in the future then.
That's
for sure.
coming up in the future, yes.
Okay.
There is states in America
Yep.
that we have touched that our product sells well into,
Wow.
but there's a lot of other states that we still need to enter.
Right.
Okay, so that, I believe, is on the horizon.
Awesome.
And I think lastly, I think that there's a kind of a sense of kind of responsibility we feel, an opportunity and a responsibility that we as Canada, as North America, have got to become more self-sufficient.
Right.
I think this was something that I always preached. I always said, like, none of our products are from a foreign country. We don't repack product from other countries.
Right.
We don't have it packaged in foreign countries.
Right.
We have all the raw
It's local.
materials local.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Okay, and then we make them locally.
Right.
We pack them locally. We distribute them locally. So there's a certain amount of, self-sufficiency in our philosophy that not only does our company run this way, we would want our country and our continent to run in that way.
Right.
That we can stand on our own feet, and that we don't need to bring in products from elsewhere.
That's amazing.
And
That's great.
So
Yeah, so it's so refreshing to hear all of this because you're very ethical in your approach with the product and your heart in this, and the Diabetes Association also endorsing your product. That's amazing. And the Breakfast Club, all of these things, it sounds wonderful. So thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you.
And educating us on eating possibly better and still enjoying the wheat too.
yes.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
Jag.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was our interview with Jag Gillan of Millstream Atta, and they have a new product line called Hiro Atta. Look for that at your local grocery store. Also, keep watching Sanjha TV. Thank you.